We all know I love a superhero, and I happen to have one that looks a lot like a superhero in studio today.
Get ready for the real estate show that takes you across the barriers and into the danger zone. That Bitchin' Real Estate Podcast with your host, Tenacious T.
Thank you all for joining me again. This is Kimberly, Tocco, Tenacious T with my awesome superhero guest,
Jesse Scheel.
And Jesse, who are you with again?
Jesse Scheel hangs his license at EXP Realty, the fastest growing brokerage in real estate history.
Nice. And we also have some lingering special guests.
Tad Larson, RealtorTad.com, EXP Realty as well.
And just a little known gentleman down there on the end.
Brian Culhane, Real Estate Wealth Coach.
Yes.
Boom.
So happy to have him here. It's always exciting. All right, Jesse, you gave up a six-figure income.
With a pension and great health benefits.
Yes. And a wife and a family.
Oh, I didn't give her up. I kept her.
Well,
she was worth it.
You gave that up to jump into EXP Realty. Why?
You know, it was, and looking back now, I was like caught in turmoil. Like, what do I do here? I actually called Brian the day I think I did it. And once I made the decision, everything was totally clear. Like, it made sense. I looked at EXP and I looked at my current job. I never really liked working for other people. And obviously in that job, you know, in W-2 lifestyle, you're working for other people, taking orders and stuff, and it was driving me nuts. And I looked at EXP and I looked at the overhead which there basically isn't any, right? And I'm starting my own business. So there's no overhead, basically. The scalability is huge. I can take this thing national, which I basically have. And then the exit strategy. So you said I had the great income with the pension plan and stuff. I just did the math. That's all it was how big would I have to take this in order to replace that pension plan? And what it would take me probably 40 years at that W-2 job, I could probably do in about 4 or 5 here with EXP, and I'll be on the beach in Hawaii.
That's really awesome because my son is starting real estate school, and I was able to talk through that with him last night, and his eyes became saucers. When you told your wife, hey, babe, I'm giving up the 6 figures and the benefits and the pension to do this little thing called EXP, what'd she say?
She was supportive. Like, it was actually amazing.
Aww.
But that night, so my boss had actually pulled me aside later that day because I had been slinging real estate for about 8 months at that time with another brokerage.
You say slinging real estate.
Yeah.
So about 8 months, were you new at
I've only been licensed for about 2.5 years right now. 3 years in February, so I guess I'm coming up on my 3 year here. But it was still my first year, and I had a miserable 6 months. Didn't sell a freaking thing.
Stagnant.
Yeah, and then the next 6 months I got rolling, and hit my cap at that brokerage that I was at, and then the day I hit my cap, it basically reset.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, that was stupid. I never got a 100% deal on anything. So anyways, between that and then my manager pulling me aside that day and said, hey, we like you here.
Yeah.
But we know what you're doing. Like, you're leaving all the time and showing houses, and you're closing, other coworkers, and it's taken away from the work here. We'd love you to stay, but, sooner or later, you're probably going to have to make a choice. I think that day I went to lunch. I called Brian, and I'm like, Brett, what do you think I should do, man? He's like, dude, you're ready. You're ready. Like, don't look back, just do it. And then I called my wife, and I'm like, I think I'm done. I think I'm done with this W-2 job. And, the rest of the afternoon, I sat there cleaning out my emails, saving the files I needed to save. And then later that night, me and her went back, and I dropped off my badge and my laptop at my boss's door, and I never went back. And I never answered the phone again when they called the next morning. That was it.
He didn't just go from his job to being a full-time real estate agent. I mean, he was a full-time real estate agent and had a full-time job. I mean, he was burning the candle at both ends. He was basically producing like a full-time agent, basically in his off hours.
Yeah. So from the time you had your very first conversation about EXP with Brian to the time you decided just to take the leap of faith, how long did that take you to get to make that decision?
It was probably 20 days or so.
Yeah.
I think the initial meeting with Brian, I met with Brian and Lindsay Hayes, and then about 15 to 20 days later, I pulled the trigger, and I never looked back.
And I wanted to point this out because there's something very special that not only with our core group, with the Culhane groups, it's the culture of EXP. It's not just what we can offer as a community and what we can offer to build your wealth. It's the culture that you're stepping into.
And that's a huge objection I get all the time. People are like, well, I gotta have the culture of the office and stuff. I'm like, you want to talk about culture? Like I mean, for lack of a better word, we're incentivized to help each other. Like in another office, if you're helping the agent next to you, you're competing for that next listing, that next buyer with that person. Whereas, at EXP, you actually want to help people get bigger than you and see them go off and dominate. So
we have a big movement for diversity right now too. And I noticed that you've got this wild, crazy hair. You kind of dressed casually. That's the beautiful thing too about EXP is it doesn't matter.
Well, and not just EXP. That's the beautiful thing about real estate in general.
Yes.
You can be whoever you want to be in this business, and it's going to resonate with somebody. I kind of hang my hat on my customer service. I think I give exceptional customer service. I strive for those 5-star reviews and the referrals, and that's what's built my business. And that allows me to do what I'm doing with my long hair and my casual dress because growing up, I always had to cut my hair. My teachers wanted me to cut my hair. My coaches wanted me to cut my hair. The dean of students in college wanted me to cut my hair. My first managers wanted me to cut my hair. And now I'm not cutting my hair anymore.
That's right.
So, Brian, this is one of the things I find fascinating about you, too, is you have a real knack for seeing people with huge potential. Yeah. And obviously, you saw that light in Jesse. And when he made that call to you, when he said, am I ready for this? How do you know how to advise anyone at that point that you're ready?
It's funny. I mean, normally, and I get that call occasionally, right? I mean, a lot of people ask, and a lot of people come into real estate with another job, or in a lot of cases, it's a full-time job, and I don't say I would give that advice to everybody, but Jesse was definitely ready. I mean, he was, he had his systems in place. He was a very ambitious young man, and he was already kicking butt. To kind of go back to where he was before he came to EXP. He was very much into learning, getting education. He had a productivity coach. So I realized quickly this guy has big plans.
Yeah.
That was kind of my takeaway when I first met Jesse, and I said, "This is somebody we want. I wish I had 100 guys like Jesse on my team,
Me
frankly."
too.
And he's always told me about some of the contacts and friends and relationships he's had back in Minnesota and North Dakota area, and that's also come to fruition in a big way. And I think I just said to him something like, burn the boats, man. If you're going to go after something, go after it with 2 hands and roll up both sleeves and get after it. And you can't serve 2 masters. And sure enough, I mean, he said, I think I'm quitting. And I think that was a pretty good move, brother.
I love it.
No, for sure it was.
Love it. He has that thing, doesn't he, Jesse? Brian just he could see it and he points it out, and we're like, God, crap.
I used to think it was the long skateboard, the longboard, but it's definitely he's got the it factor. That's for sure.
I want to touch why I call you Superman. And obviously, you have this tall stature about you.
Extremely good looking. Yeah.
There's that too. But there's this cute little photo in your social media of when you were getting married, and there's a Superman underneath your suit. Come on, just give us the insight on that.
Oh, gosh. Honestly, I think I saw the picture on Pinterest and I wanted the same picture. But yeah, I thought it was a cool picture. And funny story is, one of my good buddies, me and him talk about being Superman and Batman, and he's always Superman and I'm Batman. But yeah, I really just wanted the picture and I thought it was cool. And you're not the first person to actually comment on it, so I appreciate that. I don't know. I think the reason it's probably so cute is because my wife's in it. Actually.
Exactly. And the two of you do a lot together. I do enjoy watching when we were discussing social media. I love how you embrace exactly who you are, what you love to do, and who you love to do it with. And that's the focus, it seems to be, in your life as well, making those connections and collaborations. You have a young man next to you that you collaborate with. Tell us how you met our young Tad.
Tad Larson was a cold call about a year and a month ago. As one of my buddies who I had told about EXP back in this hometown I'm from in Minnesota, Fergus Falls, 12,000 people. Anyways, I had been talking to him about EXP, and he's like, you got to talk to this guy, Tad. Tad's a big thinker, and Tad's really, he's a cool dude. And I'm like, what's his number? And so he gives me his number, and literally within seconds, I pull over in a Fry's parking lot, and I cold call him. And I get off on the conversation. He's like, dude, I don't got a whole lot of time right now for a pitch. We end up talking for like an hour and 30 minutes.
Beautiful.
And then, I mean, like, the fortune's in the follow-up. So, I mean, it was just, I just kept talking to him, kept checking in on him. And then we had a lot of common interests, cars, and he's got some bikes.
The
and
synergy was there.
yeah, and that's the cool thing. That's the coolest thing about EXP is,
Yes.
you kind of attract who you are.
Yep.
So the people that will come to the company are the people who are just like you. And me and Tad and Brian, we all kind of are just dudes doing our thing.
Yeah.
And that's where it's kind of fun.
We're all hair guys.
On the inside, Brian, you got a lot of long hair on the inside. I think you're more Aquaman
I was always
now.
wanted to be a long hair.
Yeah.
My dad made me cut my hair in college, but
It's never too late,
Yeah,
my
yeah.
friend.
Well,
It's never too
yeah.
late. I wanted to point that out because that is the really beautiful thing about EXP. A lot of people think it's about the acquisition of agents, but honestly, we're just spreading the culture and the joy
the
of
culture
this
and
company.
the opportunity.
Yeah.
I care about these people. Like I care about Tad,
Yep.
and I care about I'm not going to name a bunch of names, but the people that I brought on, I genuinely care about them.
It's a
And-
pledge we make.
Yeah, and if you care about these people, you want to see them hanging their license with the brokerage that's going to give them the most. And I don't if I knew of sadly if I knew of a brokerage that gave more than AXP, I'd be there.
Yeah.
I think we all would be.
You're totally, yeah, absolutely.
We're all business people. Well, and Jesse, when he first was getting into real estate, a big thing for him was having a productivity coach. And if you think about where he was before, and again, not naming names, he was at a great, fantastic brokerage. But they had to pay those people to help Jesse, or he
Yeah.
had to pay those people. He had a paid TC, he had a paid productivity coach, and those are, I think, the two big things that he didn't want to leave or without the knowledge that there was something there to replace it. And obviously, at EXP, we do a lot of training, and we've got some amazing coaches and people. But it's also, like you said earlier, Kim, it's sort of this collaborative coaching where we push each other. And,
Yeah.
a lot of the people I bring in, it's not me just coaching them. I'm getting coaching
Right.
back. I'm getting inspiration back. I often say inspiration's a two-way street.
Yep.
It's not just me inspiring you. You're also inspiring me to want to inspire you and inspire me. And it's kind of this synergy effect. And I think Jesse's just been a huge beneficiary of that kind of a culture.
Yeah.
One of the things that, he's always strikes me and impresses me is when Jesse sets his mind to something or when he has a goal, he's going to hit that goal or he's going to come damn close or he's going to die trying.
Right.
And, the fact that we have an Icon Agent Award, I know that's something that Jesse is now it's going to happen.
I actually hit it today. I should. Today was
What?
my today
I
was
didn't
my
even know that.
Today was my
Look at
20th
that.
transaction
Wait a
past cap, and it was 1.4 million. By the
Oh
way.
yeah, Tad. When you got that
huge.
phone call from our soon-to-be Icon agent,
Yeah.
yeah, what did you think?
I thought it was another cold call.
Yeah.
I get pitched about 3 times a week, and
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay. I talked to everyone else around here, and I wanted to, once he started rolling, I was like, all right, we're connecting on a few different levels, so I wanted to make sure like I gave him a chance and gave him an opportunity.
Typical salesman. He's like, don't sell me. I don't want to be sold.
Yeah,
Pretty much. And I've been a salesman pretty much my whole life, so I was just like, I saw it coming, and I was like, hey, guy, I only got 10 minutes. You got 10 minutes to sell me, and I gave him about an hour and a half, so.
Well,
Oh,
I'll
yeah.
tell you what Jesse said after the call. He goes, dude, you got to talk to this guy. I think I just talked to the LeBron James of real estate up in Minnesota. He's like, you got to get a phone with this guy. This guy's unbelievable. And I
LeBron
think-
James in high school.
Yeah,
It was
the
LeBron James.
high
Like,
school.
I found the kid with the most
He
potential
found
out
the
there.
potential. The 8th grade LeBron James of real estate right here, folks.
He-
Tad Larson.
You guys are making me blush.
he found his wizard, didn't he?
Right,
His
totally.
Pat
Listen.
Hayes, yes.
No, I mean, they've been fast friends ever since.
But right now, I want to go into the favorite audience segment, and that is my favorite questions.
Okay.
All right, you ready?
Yeah, hit me.
Now, I want you to think you're putting your description in the MLS. You're putting your description in.
We've had this talk before, I think.
Yes, we have
Yeah.
on Tenacious Eats.
It might have changed, though, but go ahead.
But this is much more advanced. All right, are you ready? Mm-hmm. You're putting in your description, and what is your favorite word?
Well, all I can think of is what I told you last time, but I'm trying to think if I've seen any better ones now.
Go ahead and use the one you used
I
last
still
time.
really like boasts. This home
Boasts.
boasts a large master bedroom with, walk-in closets and
Boasts.
rain head shower and whatever. I love boasts. I think Bose is sweet.
Yeah,
Like
that's
good.
a good one.
a listing isn't complete without boasts in it.
Everything is boasting.
Right.
All right. What is your least favorite word?
I know. I mean, I know what I said again, and I know I've seen one, and it was like a pet peeve of mine, and I've even thought like, if I could do that interview with Kim again, I would tell her this, and I'm blanking on it now. But my least favorite description would probably be,
Honey, pull over the car.
no, I don't know. I mean, shoot, I wish I could pull it out of the database here, but I know like investor opportunities are exciting, but they're never good because they're bidding wars and you lose that. So I get kind of bummed on those.
Or they're just so bad that they're just putting investor
Yeah,
opportunity
like the
to
roof
get
is
people
burnt.
there.
The roof is burnt off, and there's like one standing wall. Investor opportunity.
This
and
home will
then-
sell fast.
Yeah. This,
By the way,
don't
you-
wait.
You
This
wish.
one will be gone by tomorrow.
Exactly.
But yeah, it's probably something to do with an investor opportunity or something like.
When you wake up in the morning and you're faced with another day that's jam-packed, it is exciting, but you have to put yourself in a place in order to balance and handle that. What is your turn on?
So when you're explaining that, when you're asking me that question, I'm trying to like rethink it and really focus on how you're asking it now. And something, because I get out of balance a lot. Like in this business, it's pretty easy to get out of balance. You know, you can drive too hard, and you know your scales are like this. I'm gonna go into my guest bedroom / office / well, your bedroom right now. And
That's interesting.
I'm just gonna get on the floor, read my Bible for a little bit, and say a prayer. Like, you know, because sometimes that's what it needs. That's what I need to just balance out and realize that, you know, there's bigger stuff than all of this.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to let it get me bent out of shape. And when I can refocus on that, then the scales tip back to normal.
I love that. You're taking you're taking yourself back to your serenity.
Yep.
So that you can go about your day. That's beautiful. What turns you off?
I call a listing agent or I talk to a buyer's agent and they break out I've been in the business for 32 years. I've been in the business for 25 years. Arrogant. And sadly, that's a big part of the business.
Yep.
You know, ego is huge in real
I
estate.
have a good line for that. You know what you say back? You say, well, gosh,
How come I haven't never heard of you?
how come you haven't retired yet? They're so good and you've been doing this so long. I mean, because I'm almost retired and I'm only 44.
Yeah, it's because
I'll be retired at 40. So I'm like, why even in the business 32 years?
Yeah, exactly.
It's not a great thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
no, but that's a huge turnoff for
I
me.
agree. Some of the most successful people I've had on the podcast have all said arrogance. It's a big turnoff.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I'm going to bleep this out. But what is your favorite curse word?
So I told you about it last time. Passionate, and like it's passionate. And I think
Yeah.
like sometimes I'll throw the phone and just be like. I know it's terrible, but it's the most passionate way to get it out.
It's so expressive, and we will have that special episode coming up, episode 86, and its many uses.
Yeah.
All right. Now I want you again to go into that space, that's very personal space. What is a noise or sound that you love?
A noise or sound that I love, yeah. Peace. Like no sound, actually.
That's good.
Silence?
This summer, I was I took a couple weeks and went back to Minnesota. My parents and family still live there, and I paddled on a stand-up paddleboard out into the middle of the lake. And I just stopped, put the paddle down, and stood there and looked around. And you might have got the occasional like loon or loon or whatever. But for the most part, it was just quiet. Like to the point, and this is sad. You know, because life is like this now. I pulled out my phone, which I had on the paddleboard with me, and I was like, "Hey guys, do you hear that? Peace."
Yeah,
And that's what I love. Just pure serenity, peace,
Tranquility.
you know, no sound. Yeah.
And that also, believe it or not, is a somewhat common answer. I think we get so drowned out by all of the outside noises, we forget to listen to nothing.
Right.
And it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that a lot. What noise or sound do you hate?
other realtors on the other end of the phone telling me no, or that they've been in the business for 32 years.
Get that, people. Do not tell him you've been in the business for 30
Either
years.
that, or living in Scottsdale. Actually, the sound of a car horn.
Yeah.
There's too many car horns going off in Scottsdale. So if you're listening today and you drive around Scottsdale or Phoenix, just chill out. Stop honking your horn.
Yeah. I mean, really, 2 cars length is not going to get you there any sooner, man. It's not. Just chill, listen to some music or silence, better yet.
Yeah, no, exactly.
This one, I know we've talked about it before, but really take yourself back to that little boy, say, young teenager, and the dream of what you wanted to do. Take real estate out of it. You can't do real estate. You can't do your previous job. What would you do? What would your profession have been?
I wouldn't want to work. I've never really wanted to work.
But you would be doing something.
I'd probably be on a beach selling. I wouldn't even want to sell T-shirts. I would just want to sit on the beach and get paid for it.
He's a beach bum. That's awesome, though.
Like if I could take my wife to Hawaii or some island that looks just like it and has the same qualities, and I could just live there, and because that's kind of my dream.
Yeah.
Like that's why I chose EXP. I was like, well, if I put in 5 hard years, knockout icon every year, and tell an agent or two, I could be done in 4 or 5 years, and then I can go to live on the beach with my wife and raise. We got a baby on the way right now.
Oh my God!
More
Yay.
news, breaking news. Get Ashley back on here.
Oh my God!
Yeah, so I'd love to raise a little island baby.
A little Superman or Supergirl.
You can always tell when
girl on this one.
You can always tell when Jesse has a closing because like immediately after there's like pictures of him on the beaches of Hawaii or
Right.
some canyon and
And that is a beautiful thing.
adventure hiking.
Yeah.
I have been fortunate enough to go to Hawaii several times. And I remember distinctly one time a man, he went out there, he went swimming with a spear. He came back, he had 3 fish, and he went up and he cooked them. And he was a local. And that's how he lived.
And that's all you need.
It was
There's enough rain
amazing.
there for water. There's food.
Yeah.
And Brian told me a great story one time. We were talking about the fishermen, and like the guy talks to him and he's like, hey, why don't you like scale this up? You could get a bigger boat, hire on some people, catch more fish, sell more, make more money. And Brian gives it to what end?
Yeah.
To what end?
Yeah.
Like what's wrong with my life right now? Maybe.
Well, so the guy gets up every morning, has some coffee, jumps in his boat, kisses his wife, goes out, fishes all day, brings enough back to feed his family and his neighbors. And a couple businessmen walk up and say, do you realize what a gold mine you're sitting on? And he's like, no. And they're like, oh my God, you could buy more boats and you could catch more fish. And he's like, to what end? And they're like, well, it's some. And then, the story is he comes home, feeds his family, plays some guitar, has some wine, kisses his wife, goes to bed, right? And they said, well, you could, feed the whole village and you could do this and you could do that. He kept saying, to what end? And at some point they go, well, you could retire, you could sit around, kiss your wife, fish all day, drink some wine, play some guitar under the stars. And he's like, I'm already doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that is a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And I love that vision for you. But there's got to be a vision too of maybe giving back and changing the community, changing the world. I know you're passionate about green and clean. What do you see for yourself in that aspect?
I mean, I've always wanted to get a little bit more involved in mission type work, where I would head off. I haven't felt a great calling anywhere yet. Like selfishly, I'd be like, well, you're making decent money. Just keep making money and giving it to people who do that, because somebody's got to pay for those guys to do it right now. But yeah, I mean, someday I'd like to pull real estate into it. Maybe it'd be like, there's EXP is actually doing this sustainable housing project. I think
story, building 80 homes in Mexico next year. Yes.
Yeah. And the thing I love about those homes is they're simple, and I love simplicity. It makes total sense to me.
It's a 2-bedroom, 1 bath with a small kitchenette for 80 families that are completely impoverished.
Yeah. And so that right there is like, well, maybe God just put that in my path now. Like maybe I'm supposed to get involved with that.
I will tell you, you're already inspiring and leading men. I've seen a lot of what you do online. You partner with Culhane in a man tribe type community.
Yep.
And without even knowing it, you're already doing that.
Well, he's a leader in that space. I mean, Jesse's been in the health and wellness space probably longer than I have, even though we both played some ball and back in the day, college basketball player. But he's shown me a few things in the health and wellness arena that have helped me out. So he's definitely been, a leader in that world.
Tell us more about that.
Well, that was actually the biggest waste of money ever. I went to college, and I actually got a degree in exercise physiology. And I remember the teacher was saying, guys, I'm looking around the room here, and if you're going to be in this profession, you should probably look the part.
Yeah.
And at that time, I was a scrawny basketball player and whatnot. Hadn't put any muscle on really, and I took it personally. I put a chip on my shoulder. And
how could you be scrawny? Seriously,
you're
a huge dude.
I was just tall and skinny. I've lost a lot of muscle actually this last year. You get busy.
And you don't
you don't get as much time to get in the gym anymore or whatever. But
speak for yourself.
Speak for yourself. Yeah. But anyways, that's when I got really into health and wellness. And I mean, we're talking diet and stuff. And sadly, at that time, the picture of health and wellness to me was probably actually the picture of unhealthy. The dudes you see on the magazine jacked with the veins and the biceps popping, and they're eating, chicken breasts and whey all day. That's actually one of the most unhealthy things you can do to yourself.
Yep.
So now, and actually kind of through the Man Tribe and stuff, just, Brian and me, we talk to this guy, Troy, once in a while. And
we love him too. He's so great.
We'll have him on here.
Oh, yeah. We're going to have him on here. I'm so excited.
The certified health nut.
Yeah. God, we're going to have to, this room is going to be electrified.
We might have to put some yoga mats down and get rid of the table.
Some grass, some dirt.
For sure.
Yep, no, for sure. But anyways, there's just a healthier way to go about things sometimes. And, that's kind of opened my eyes to it. And, I don't know, to your point, I probably got off topic, but
no, what I see in you, and I think you're a huge asset to EXP because you already have the natural ability of a leader and you want everyone to have the freedom that you have. And I could see you on the beach, semi-retired, but continuing to lead. That's what I see in you. It's a beautiful thing.
That'd be ideal,
Boom.
And then this is one of my favorite questions because it really shows who you look up to and who's in the back of your mind as you go through your life. If you could have dinner with anyone, celebrity, famous person, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Jesus, 100%. I'd like to go meet Jesus. Whether that would have been at just the feeding of the 5,000 or whatever, but I'd like to witness that in person. And depending on what you believe, I'm not trying to push beliefs on anyone here, but just to shake the hand of probably the
what age of Jesus would you have liked to have met? You know, when he was flipping over the tables in the temple, or like what?
I think right at 30, probably when he started, the missionary journeys and stuff, and started doing the healing, the public healings and stuff like that.
When he came into his calling and did his purpose completely.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, to me, that would for sure, 100%.
Cool.
Yeah.
Why not?
Well, that certainly tells us the condition of your heart. I'm so excited to see what 2020 is going to bring you. I mean, you're fun to watch. You have nothing but love, man. And thank you for coming on the show today. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
This is Kimberly, Tocco, Tenacious T.
Jesse Scheel with EXP.
And how can they get a hold of you?
Tons of ways. Website, jessesheel.com. You can dial me directly, 480-382-8922. If you're North Dakota, Minnesota, 701-212-2111. Facebook Messenger, Instagram chat. I think if you go out on Google and Google me, you can find me on Zillow, Realtor.com. I got a Google webpage.
Look for that picture with the Superman. It's so cute.
Yeah, check that out. I'll get to you in 15 minutes or less. That's my guarantee.
Yeah, there you go. And again, thank you for lingering and staying with us.
Tad Larson, RealtorTad.com.
And
Brian Culhane, the success philosopher.
I like
See
it.
how I did a question at the end?
Yes.
That's ask a question.
Yes.
Philosopher.
Love that. I think we'll keep that in there. This is Tenacious T.